Hey everyone, today's species spotlight is on what I think might be the best species of aquatic turtle to keep as a pet, and that is the common musk turtle, sometimes called the eastern musk turtle. Now, musk turtles are a small group of turtles, and there are several different subspecies of them that are endemic to North America. Now, they actually belong to a larger group of turtles that also includes the mud turtles, another species of high dome small turtle. Now, they're called musk turtle because they have two scent glands at the back end of their shells that they excrete musk when they are feeling threatened, i.e. musk turtle, and that's also sometimes why they're called the stink pot turtle. Now, I said that they're endemic to North America, and all of the different subspecies, and some of them being like the loggerhead and the razorback musk turtle, are found in the southeastern part of the United States. But entirely, the common musk turtle, again called the eastern musk turtle, has a much larger range. They range from northern Maine and even parts of Canada all the way south down into Florida and as far west as central Texas. So a pretty extensive range, and most of the rest of them all kind of live in the southeastern part of the United States. Now, I said these guys are relatively small. I did mean that. They only average 4 to 6 inches in length, and again, as I also said, they are high-domed, especially compared to other pond turtles like the red-eared slider or the painted turtle. They're kind of slick and pretty flat. These guys have a pretty high-domed football-shaped shell, and they're also pretty drab in appearance. They're usually fairly dark in shades of brown, gray, black, and even sometimes like an olive green color, but I think they look really pretty. Honestly, I like them a lot more than the red-eared sliders, not just because I think they make a better pet. I honestly think they're a little bit cuter too. Now, despite the fact that they're called aquatic turtles, they're actually not that great of swimmers. And in fact, if you were to put one in a very deep enclosure with lots of water, there is actually the risk of them drowning. So out in the wild, typically you will see them in waters that are not very fast and usually not very shallow. So you're not going out fly fishing in fast-moving rivers, and you're not accidentally going to catch a musk turtle. They're usually in small ponds, bogs, and areas like that. Now, these guys are omnivores, which is great for captivity as well. Typically, they're eating mollusks, crayfish, snails, as well as aquatic plants, and very rarely they'll even eat small fish and amphibians. They're very opportunistic, like a lot of aquatic turtles. Now, in addition to the scent glands, there is something that's really cool about these guys that makes them a little different than a lot of other species of aquatic turtle, especially North American aquatic turtles. If you look really closely under their chin, you can actually see these two like little tentacle things. Those are actually called barbels. And scientists, at least most scientists, think they use them in a very similar fashion to the way that catfish use their whiskers. They essentially are an extrasensory organ that allows them to hopefully come across and find food while they move across muddy or sandy bottom waterways. And so that will helpfully be able to allow them to feed on those things, as well as they also will have been known and documented to actually leaving the water entirely and going out and foraging on entirely dry land. If you were to go out and look for these guys, go out, then you'll actually, a lot of the time, you'll see them basking on floating logs, on the riverside beds, and over fallen trees, and they actually don't spend nearly as much time in the water, and especially not floating at the top of the water like a lot of the red-eared sliders. They're not exactly neutral buoyant, but it kind of seems like that a lot of the time. Now, in captivity, as I said before, I think they make really good captive pets if you're going the route of an aquatic pet turtle, at least more than the larger pond turtles. So, and that's for a number of reasons. Obviously, endemic to North America, and having such a large range, they can usually adapt pretty well to all sorts of different types of water temperatures and quality. Although being a diurnal turtle species, you obviously need the full spectrum of ultraviolet light of UVA and UVB, as well as a decent basking spot, because obviously they're basking on top of the land. As you can see, of all the turtles in this video that do come from a local reptile shop here in Colorado, it's called Beasties. If you're in Colorado, and down in southern Colorado specifically, you should absolutely go check them out. But as you can see, they're pretty endearing, personable, curious little animals that don't get very large, which means you don't need as large of enclosures for them, right? However, I will say that I'm pretty sure what most people consider the bare minimum for an aquatic turtle, somewhere in the 20 to 40 gallon range, isn't nearly enough really for any species of aquatic turtle, and that includes the musk turtles. And honestly, something to the length of 75 to 100 gallons minimum, if not more, is probably something pretty good. These guys are being kept in a plastic trough used for livestock that holds about 100 gallons. And as you can see, it has a nice little basking area for them all to hang out on. These guys are all of the eastern or the common musk turtles, sometimes called the white-lined or white-cheeked musk turtles. As we all know, every animal in North America has 100 different names. But being omnivores, they're easy to feed. You can give them easy and readily accessible commercial diets. You can give them invertebrates. You can give them worms like you would like your axolotl or your frog or your fish or anything like that too. You can give them aquatic type plants. They'll even sit there and kind of like munch on lettuce and things. So really easy to feed, usually pretty readily available. The common musk turtle is not threatened really in anywhere in any part of its range. They have diminished a little bit, mostly because of, polluted waterways and things. There are some different subspecies of musk turtles that are threatened, like the intermediate musk turtle, but even ones like the loggerhead and the razorback are much more readily available. Not nearly as popular as the red-edged slider because they don't produce in as large numbers, but at least that way you're usually able to find and catch them. A lot of the times they actually end up being accidental pets, because a lot of the times people down in places like Mississippi and Louisiana, when they're catching a lot of crawfish and shipping them out to other states to be part of crawfish boils, a lot of the times musk turtles end up being part of the bycatch. And not being fish, they don't suffocate in the air, so a lot of people end up with pet musk turtles. And in fact, I think that's where a couple of these guys came from. The little baby that you see was not part of that. It was intentionally murdered, just a little bit too small. So he's just hanging out kind of as a shop pet for a little while. A little final kind of really interesting and odd thing about these guys is that some of the adults, not every single one of them, but some mature animals, develop larger heads and really powerful jaw muscles. So remember when we talked about their diets, they eat a lot of mollusks and crayfish. And I think what the reason why that is, and I'm talking a little bit, I'm making a little bit of assumptions because it's kind of hard to find any real evidence to support the reason why it was. It's just mentioned that it happens sometimes, is that they might be animals that come from populations whose primary and main source of food are those hard-shelled mollusks. And so those larger heads and more powerful jaws would aid in them actually being able to feed on these different populations of hard-shelled mollusks versus in other parts of their range where their diet may be a little bit more varied. All in all, I think they're absolutely an adorable little turtle because, yes, I too like turtles. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you can, please like and subscribe, hit the bell notification. Check out the full playlist that I have of the species spotlights. There's well over 60 videos of a bunch of different species of reptiles, not just turtles, but snakes and lizards, and even amphibians too. If you want to check that out, it really helps my YouTube algorithm try to push that out for everybody else. As well as I would just like to remind you, because we're actually getting kind of close. At 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a full property tour. That means this entire building that you've seen parts and bits of in different progression stages, as well as the brand new cool room that is now moved, our quarantine room, as well as the outside areas, including our pond and the livestock areas, so you get to meet all the different ducks and goats and livestock guarding dogs and our pet dogs and stuff too. And then at 10,000 subscribers, we are going to do an animal giveaway. So if you can, please share it with all of your friends. Have them subscribe if you can. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to hear me talk about any other subject or see other videos, please let me know down in the comments. You can email me. You can check me out on all of the other social medias. I hope everyone's having a great day, and we'll check you next time.